Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being patient. We love a good tech conference with technical difficulties. Always a surefire way to know that we're doing things right. I am so thrilled to have Andrea Harris Walker here with us today for our startup life conversation. One of One moment. I don't know why I'm getting some feedback. I apologize for that. I am so sorry, y'all. Can you hear that? Hmm.
I don't hear the feedback on my end.
You don't hear the feedback. Oh, right. Well, I am so sorry about that. I am not sure. As long as nobody else can hear it, I'm just going to keep on going then. And thank you so much for, again, rolling with those punches. All righty. So I was saying one of our amazing board members, Erynn Petersen, is going to be joining us shortly to continue the conversation with Andrea, but I'm thrilled to kick this off. So I'm going to actually have Andrea start by sharing a little bit about herself so we can all get to know her and why she is really the best person to have this conversation with about startup and what that actually means and how we get into that. It's been a long day on this site, so hopefully everyone is familiar with it now, but at the on your far right, you'll have a little chat box and you can ask questions. We'll be getting to those as we go throughout. But until then, Andrea, if you can share with us, it'd be so great to learn a little bit about you and Bacon Magazine.
Thank you so much, Katie. I'm so excited to be here. I can't see you ladies in the chat right now, but I'm so excited that you guys are here. My name is Andrea Harris Walker. I'm the founder and CEO of Bacon Magazine, Black Women in Business. And we're not talking about food over here, honey. This is for the women who bring home the bacon, okay? So we are a business publication that tailors women in business needs from all points of support, from the startup level to the thriving level to excelling your business. We're here to give you tips and tools to help you do that. And we also kind of like leverage a lot of support from our celebrities that we put on the cover to really help motivate you because they have businesses as well, and kind of let you know these things that are going on behind the scenes so you can really get excited and kind of like humanize your brand and know that some of your favorite stars are also human and they felt just like you in business. So it really resonates, and I'm so excited about what we've been doing. We've only been in business for 1 year. This is our first year in business. We have 5 covers and 4 celebrities on those covers. So I'm excited to discuss more about startup and share with you all the information that I know to kind of like help you get publicized, help you get out there, help you market your business at the next level. So that's who I am, what I do, and how I serve my people.
Oh, you're so wonderful. I love this so much. I'm sorry, Andrea, that I was saying your name incorrectly. Again, going with the flow of things. You're so awesome. And I see that Erynn has joined us, talk about going with the flow. I've never seen Erynn in the same place and never has the same background. And it's always an adventure. And it looks like another adventure here today. We're so glad that you're able to join us and really lead this conversation because you are our GDI startup master. So we're really excited to have you sharing more with Andrea as well.
Great. It's great to see you too. That's a surfboard. This is not where I plan to be this afternoon. Andrea, it is great to meet you. And I really love what you're doing. So it is fantastic to be able to do this session with you. I think that I've worked at really small companies, really small startups. I'm at a startup right now. I'm CEO of a 5-person startup. I've worked at really big companies, Microsoft. I worked at one startup that got really big. I worked at Amazon long before the IPO, and then Amazon got very big. And I've worked for the Department of Defense. So I've run some really, really big projects at the DoD. So I can talk about what it's like to be at a startup, what it's like to be at a really, really big place, and how you traverse that pathway in between, and all the different ways that people can do that walk up. Because there's not just one way. Everybody's going to tell you there's one right way to do this. And there's many, many different ways, I think. And Andrea, you might have discovered this as well.
Absolutely. There's so many different ways. You have to figure out what works best for you and your audience, and you have to go from there. So I'm
Mhm.
so excited. I'm like so eager to pick your brain. I might be more excited than everybody else in the audience. I'm like really excited to learn from you as we go through this. So I have some amazing questions. You've kind of that introduction was amazing. So my mind is like, oh my God, I have more questions. Um, just a little background history. I too started with a lot of just startup companies, just literally 4 to 5 person companies. So I kind of
Mhm.
understand the demand of that. And I kind of want to just go into that area of just transitioning as a CEO from a startup, right? I believe on the publicizing things, we make it magic, right? What we do over here is you see the finished product, you see it when it's
Mhm.
absolutely beautiful, but you as a startup see when it's ugly, when it was grapes yesterday, apples today, oranges tomorrow, right? How does
Yeah.
that work on your mindset when you're transitioning through the startup phase? What did that feel like to you? Did it feel like this is wrong? We're making too many changes. Is the morale of the company or my staff really like seeing the vision? What did that feel
Mhm.
like?
Yeah, it's interesting you asked. We're going through that right now. Our head of design, our head of brand is a woman named Kate Dana. And Kate hasn't done a startup before. Kate has a design degree from RISD. So Kate's sense of design is incredibly well informed and very, very well developed. And one of the great lessons of a startup is to figure out what are the 2, 3 most important things you can do and do those things well. And there's not necessarily the time in a startup to worry about the tiniest, tiniest, tiniest details. And design people always notice those. And so getting Kate comfortable with, no, 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 the most important thing is to get the change out the door today that our users can test today so that we can figure out if, for example, we improve our conversion rate or if we improve our stickiness, which is a great way to measure whether users and subscribers like a product. And then once people love it, like once you can tell your audience loves it and your subscribers love it, then you fine tune it and then you make it beautiful. But at the same time, it has to be beautiful enough when it goes out the door that you're conveying to your users and your audience and your subscribers that you respect them and that you respect their time and the fact that they're engaging with your app. So right now we have a birth control tracking app called Emmy, and I'll say it is beautiful. I love it so much. And so figuring out where that fine line is between getting the changes out the door that the subscribers and users are asking for and then making them perfect is really tricky.
I just love how we got into Emmy because I have so many questions about Emmy. I was all over the website. I was loving everything I was seeing. And one of the questions that I was asking, just because my mind as a CEO is, how long has she been doing this from the beta testing stage till it rolling out into the public? How long was it before you had this, this demo that was ready for us to receive?
Sure. So Emmy is a great story, and it's an unusual story. Emmy was founded about 4 years ago by a team out of Stanford, and they developed the smart case, the Emmy smart case, that allows you to store your birth control pills, and then the Emmy app that tracks when and whether you've taken your birth control pills on time. And it tracks another 62 characteristics too, everything from how's your hair doing to how's your skin doing to how's your period to how's your sex life, like all the things that you worry about when you're taking the pill. So the team developed it and the team sold it to a company called Simple Health, which was a telehealth company that grew really fast during COVID. And then about 6 months ago, Simple Health got acquired. And the company acquiring Simple Health wasn't sure what to do with Emmy. One of the things that's notable about Emmy is that Emmy is the only major period tracking app that has never sold its data. It's never sold its data to anybody. It's never run advertising, never sold its data. Super important for all of us to understand, right? And nobody knew what to do with the data. Nobody knew what to do with the company. And I reached out and I said, hey, I would love to make sure that this company moves forward. There's 13,000 subscribers to the newsletter. There's 8,000 subscribers to the app. Like I'd love to buy this and pull this forward. And so that's what I did. So I bought it back in May, and we've been working on doing a reboot, doing a restart. So one of the key challenges is that we have to keep the app a really great experience for the users who have used it over the last 4 years, and also start to position it for the users who are going to use it for the next 10 years.
Oh, wow. What type of changes do you foresee in the next 10 years? Because you kind of answered my next question. I was going to say, can you list some of the 63 characteristics that this thing is tracking? So, so we see it's already doing that. So what's your
Mhm.
future within the next decade? What do you feel this app or this smart case in this product and service should look like?
So I think for all of us, right, what many of us are thinking about is AI. What does AI mean for my job? What does AI mean for me as an engineer? What does AI mean for me as a consumer? And at Emmy, the most important principle for us is that we protect our users' data. We don't want anyone to get their hands on our user data and use it in a way that the users don't want that data to be used. I mean, this is people's period tracking data. This is people's sexual health data. This is the data you roll over in bed. You pick this up first thing in the morning. You're talking to this thing right there in your bed. It's very, very private data. So, how do we make sure that we keep that data private, but also begin to bring to our users the benefits of augmented intelligence, of artificial intelligence? How do we help, a user who's really worried that they missed their pills 2 times 3 weeks ago? They had sex that Thursday. They didn't use backup protection. They're spotting, but they don't have their period, and they're worried that they're pregnant, right? I mean, that's
Mhm,
many of us have been there. We've had that Thursday morning, right?
mhm.
You're like, please, sweet Jesus, like, let me just get through and worry about this till Friday. And we want to be able to take some of the worry and some of the concern out of that. And so, how do we develop the algorithms to do analysis while still keeping our user data private? This is the big challenge for us. And then, once we've cracked that nut, how do we go ahead and begin to make inferences and give people decision making so that they can have agency over their health care, so they know the decisions they're making and the outcomes? And
Wow.
also, there's
Mhm.
one other challenge too. Sorry, can I hop in?
No, 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 it's fine.
Because the other big challenge is that artificial intelligence is a it's not some omnipotent data set, right? And some omnipotent set of decision making behind it. There's bias in it. There's all sorts of implicit assumptions in it,
Oh,
especially when you're talking about medical data.
yeah.
And the great hope of AI is that it can level the playing field, that it can, for example, detect bias in its algorithms and remove that bias, and thereby inform better outcomes for everyone. So we also want to bring that to the table too.
Oh, wow. I think that is so amazing. I do think that a lot of the concerns that people are having right now is with the privacy of
Hmm.
AI. And you've started with a good thing and you want to, continue with the future, the digital future, but you still want to maintain the integrity of the initial brand. So I am loving what I hear um, as far as that. The next question I wanted to ask is, um, as a CEO, you seem like an extremely ambitious woman. You're like, you know what? I like this. I'm going to go buy that. I'm going to acquire that. I'm going to make that better. And I'm loving that. Do you ever feel moments of doubt as a CEO? And how do you tackle that mentally?
Yes, of course. I think we all have moments of doubt. Any of us who are trying to do things that are harder than the things we did last year, or any of the times we're trying to do things that are better this week than we did them last week, we're going to have doubts about our capabilities and our readiness. And one of the things that I find to be incredibly valuable about being at this career stage is that I've built a network of friends and coworkers and accomplishments. And generally, I'm able to pause and say, well, okay, well, I did that other hard thing. I can do this hard thing. And
Mhm.
also, one of the things I've really come to rely on is the judgment of the people around me. They wouldn't be working with me. My friends and coworkers and subscribers wouldn't be on this journey if they didn't trust my judgment. And so
Mhm.
in those moments where I doubt my own judgment, sometimes I have to rely on the judgment of these other people that I respect and trust, who are taking me along with the journey too. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So what I heard was client feedback and the people that are supporting you, whether they're vocalizing that or not, just by them logging in and participating, it gives you the strength to continue to keep going and keep trying.
Yeah. Yeah, like, if we get a sudden spate of emails from our subscribers and they're really worried about their data, that means, for example, that we have to make sure that we are building credibility with them.
Hmm.
And you sort of have to set your own self-doubt out of the way and say, no, 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 like I can solve this problem. I'm going to be clear with people about how I'm solving it so that they can make their own judgment about whether they're going to trust me and trust us and trust what they're doing. I think you really, in those moments of doubt, you really have to lean on the opinions of others around you.
Okay. Um, Morning routines. Is it surfing? Like, cause you are like, I mean, okay, can I'm so, were you surfing today? I think we all want to know. Were you on the water today?
I was not on the water today. I do
Okay.
live in Port Rhode Island. I
Okay.
generally get on the water almost every day. I at least get to the
Okay.
beach every day. Um, no, I'm helping transport some surfboards, and we ran into a deer, and so that sort of threw my schedule out of whack for today. And I was like, I don't care where we end up as long as I'm in a quiet place for 2 hours, so I can be present for GDI.
I love it. So your morning routine, what does that look like as the CEO that you are? How do you prepare for the day to really tackle things that you may know about that are on your itinerary or things that may come up that you have to tackle, right? Are there things that you do and you say to myself, when I do these things, whether I have a good or a bad day or unpredictable day, I usually can control my day. And when I don't do these things, I notice that my day is completely out of control.
Yes. And I will caveat this with referring to a conversation that was being had right before the meeting started. We have 4 children, and our
Hmm.
children are all adults. 3 of them are out of college, one of them's a senior in college, and so when I say this is my morning routine, I say this with a cognizance that this is the morning routine of someone who is fortunate not to have any children and small children in the house, who are delightful, but they can really blow up your morning routine. So I'm gonna put that caveat out there. So
Hmm.
my morning routine is I wake up, I do the Wordle, I feed my dog, I go for a walk. I have same breakfast every morning,
What's that
coffee, oatmeal.
breakfast?
I have coffee and fruit
Okay.
and
Okay.
coffee, fruit, and oatmeal. Irish oats, Scotch oats every morning. I make it all on Sunday. I eat it in a batch all week long. And the first place I always start is in the data. How did we perform yesterday? How did our site perform? How did our app perform? What new user feedback do we have? What new subscriber feedback do we have? And I read through all of that. And then I hit up Team Slack first, and understand what's going on across the team. And from there, I hop into the news. So I read 5 or 6 newspapers every morning. I read a bunch of different websites, scan through them, and then I feel centered, and then I walk into the office.
3 to 5 websites and newspapers that you're scanning.
Yes. But again, I have no small children
Names.
in the house. And so I read the New York Times, I read the Boston
Uh-huh.
Globe, I read the Washington Post, I read the
Uh-huh.
Newport Daily News.
Uh-huh.
I generally read Seattle, Seattle Times.
Hmm.
And in the Boston Globe, there's a section on Rhode Island. And so then I read the Rhode Island section as well.
Perfect. We want to know. Like, it's like it's like reading what? Magazines, what type of articles? Because most of the time when you're talking to a CEO, they are looking at their analytics and they are usually like, I don't know, me, I might be on the shade room. Oh my God, I have no business over there reading an article on the shade room. I need to be on Forbes, right? Or I need to be on Entrepreneur. So I wanted to know, what is she reading so that they can hear, where your intention is in the business realm, what type of things you're actually reading that's helping you fuel your business.
Well, let's go back to the shade room, right? Like,
Okay.
why not spend time there? Like, I also read People magazine still online. I mean, I'm so old, right? I read People magazine. I read Salon. I read The Atlantic almost every single day. I mean, I still go check on Go Fug Yourself. It's this really old, like, year old website, right?
Hmm.
It covers the royal family and their outfits to an unnerving degree. I mean, we all, I think that uh, making sure that it, you know, when guys talk about sports, nobody
Hmm.
says, well, you're wasting all that time, watching the Mets, right? Nobody's like,
Right.
nobody, cast shade there. Like, I think the things you do to refresh your brain and sort of all the different things you absorb, those are valuable. Those are valuable. We can celebrate those.
Okay. So a little bit of shade room, ladies. It's okay to get your TikTok on over there and laugh a little bit, but keep the ball rolling.
Totally.
Okay. I think we kind of asked that question. I noticed that you have a 4.7 out of 5-star rating on iOS, which is like extremely high. And I just wanted to know, what do you feel about that? How does that make you feel to know that you have a really high rating and that people are loving your product?
It feels uh it feels really good. So one of the things that we talk about in the team is we look at the data every single day, and we try not to get thrown off if we get a really great review or a really poor review. We try not, or we have a low conversion data on our store. We try not to get thrown of it. We try to be cognizant about it. On those long trends, we care a lot that our users and our subscribers love our app. We care a lot about that, and we work really hard for it. We're deeply appreciative, and what I feel most is a sense of appreciation that people understand what we're doing and that they're using it every day and that they're enjoying the experience.
Perfect. What feelings do you hope to invoke in the users or the customers that interact with your smart case and your site? What do you want them to feel? Is it euphoric? Is it excited? Do you want them to say, oh my gosh, I can sit over here and read for an hour? What feeling do you want your audience to feel when they experience your products and services?
We want people to feel secure, not merely in the data security sense, but we were sitting around the office the other day and we were talking about, a couple of us have already gone through menopause. A couple of the people on the team are in their early 20s. They're on various forms of birth control, generally the pill. And we were talking about what it feels like to not worry about getting pregnant. And you go through, as a woman who's having sex with men, you go through this long section of your life where it's it's something that you take into account when you're placing bets on yourself. Like when you're saying, for example, I'm going to go to law school, or I'm going to start a salon, or I'm going to go to learn to be an electrician. You're somewhere in the back of your mind thinking, and I really want to make sure my plans don't get derailed if I become pregnant, right? Unexpected.
Hmm. Hmm.
A lot of times when people talk about birth control, particularly in sort of the popular press, people talk about it as a way of avoiding pregnancy. But for 80% of the women who take it, 20% take it for non-birth control reasons. But for 80% of the women who take it, they're trying to time when they get pregnant, not merely whether they ever get pregnant. And so, what we really want is for women to have a sense of agency and a sense of control, and that feeling of, I can do this. I am secure in my reproductive health. I can make decisions that are going to govern the shape and the arc of my life. And I worry less because I know that I'm taking my birth control every day and on time every day.
I love the fact that you brought up the 20% of women that take birth control for other reasons. There was a stint in my life where I was just extremely overweight, close to 400 pounds, and this threw my hormones off. And I couldn't figure out how to stop this bleeding, right? And then I finally went to my OB, and he solved it through birth control.
Hmm.
Taking birth control stop the bleeding for overweight or underweight. And so I just thought that was really interesting because unless you've gone through anything like that in your body, the Bible talks about it as the woman who bled for 7 years. But unless you've gone through something like that, you wouldn't know, hey, birth control is not just for preventing birth. Other people use this for so many different benefits. So I think the women who are listening need to also understand that this product can work for you even if you're not trying to prevent a pregnancy. This might work for your skin, this might work for balancing your hormones or whatever it is. So looking into that and kind of looking at birth control differently, I think
Hmm.
it was what I heard, which I thought was a magic moment, and I want the people listening to hear what I heard, which was, hey girl, there's some magic stuff going on over there. So you need to see the benefits of, birth control. Do you know of any of the 20%? What are some of the things they're using it for?
So it's generally three things, exactly the one you mentioned. So period
Uh-huh.
management, migraine management, and skin control, making sure they have more beautiful skin, because the hormones that are managed by birth control pills, your skin looks glorious, by the way. Yeah, look at you. You look
I'm
beautiful.
like, oh, for real? Let me sign up.
I know, because I looked and we did not have any sort of ability here to modulate our appearance. You look absolutely amazing. Your
Thank
lighting is spot
you.
on. So those are the three things they manage it for. And I think you brought up a really great example of the kind of bias that we want to make sure that we're tackling, first for birth control and then for other women's health issues. So the one of the biases is that people don't a lot when women go to get birth control pills, they're not always told clearly, hey, you have to take this every day and on time every day. And also, by the way, if your weight fluctuates or if you're outside of this weight range, you're going to want to look at a different kind of birth control and it's going to affect your body differently. And people have so little time in that medical appointment to give advice and guidance that unless they're actively trying to remind themselves, oh, I have to make sure that I'm taking into account this person's weight when I make this birth control recommendation and give appropriate medical guidance, that can be forgotten and that can be left on the floor. And I'm so glad that your practice was able to establish a path for you to manage that bleeding, because that bleeding itself, when it's going on too long and it's unpredictable and the volume's unpredictable, it's such a hassle. And that's 5% of brain cycles that women are having to use. Like, is somebody seeing this through my pants? Did I bring sufficient pads with me today? How much pain am I in? And, Mr. Finance Bro down the hallway, he's not worried about that. And we would really like to make sure that, women aren't worrying about that every day either.
I love, love, love the answer. Reflecting on the initial stage of your business, what are some preconceived notions that you had that you totally like, boy, was I wrong? Boy, did I bomb that? Boy, was I about to mess that up with that mindset. Did you have any preconceived notions about what you were doing? And then when you got into it, you saw this is not the case.
Yes. And I might still be wrong on this. So
Hmm.
I might change my mind again. But one of the things, and I think any of us who have thought about starting a company or doing a startup thinks a lot about what is it going to be like to raise money, and what am I going to have to do to raise money? When am I going to raise my Series A? When am I going to go ahead and close my seed round, etc.? And all of this comes with an expectation that you're going to have to raise money. And I met with a really great VC a couple weeks ago, and just off the record, just having coffee. And he said, look, he's like, there's two things that you can think about. You can think about raising venture capital money. And if you're raising venture capital money, you need to be going after a big problem in a big space. And you have to be prepared to give up a lot of control over your company in order to grow it. He said, or if you can figure out how to grow your company based on revenues, you maintain a lot more control. You're probably going to have a slower growth rate. You maintain more ownership. You maintain more control over patient outcomes, for example. And that was really a reset for us, because we'd been thinking about how quickly can we grow? How much can we grow? When can we raise that VC money? And then we realized something really interesting about our app. We're growing 10% week over week consistently with our users. We've just hit week 10 of doing that. And that is an incredible bar for a startup. And
Wow.
if we can go ahead and we can stretch ourselves out to the point where our revenues overtake our costs, in other words, to the point where we're profitable, then we can push out or decide not to take in venture capital money, or be really thoughtful about whose money we take and make sure that our vision for healthcare lines up with their vision and their need to return money to the people who have invested in their fund. Because one of the great this is me being on a soapbox for a minute, but one of the great challenges in healthcare today is that so many people providing healthcare are under pressure to make a profit for their PE fund or their venture capital fund. And I think that it's almost impossible for that not to inform healthcare decisions and recommendations. And we'd really want our subscribers to continue to have that unfettered perspective on their healthcare, that completely agnostic, capital agnostic recommendation for their healthcare. And so if we're able to go down this path and continue to show the growth that we're able to show, we may be able to do this without raising money. And that means that we have to be much, much, much more patient to grow. when we first said, all right, we're going to grow 10% week over week, we're like, oh, okay, we'll add a very small number of users week over week. Well, that's easy. Turns out to be very, very, very hard. And in deciding that we're going to focus on this small 10% week over week growth with our very small 5-person team, it's
Mhm.
also forced us to be much more judicious and thoughtful about what we're doing as a team that week. And it's made us much more focused, much less frantic. So the level of stress at the startup has gone down. And it really allows us to just take a whole bunch of things, distractions off the table and be really focused. So I think it's giving us a healthy, growing company that's also stable and a stress-free place to work. And that's also very important to us. And it's giving us a great user experience, a great, great subscriber experience.
Speaking of a five-man team, when I went to your website to just, look around and get my interview questions together, there's just no way possible that I would think that only five people were running this company when the branding is like superb. So when I went to the site, I just thought, wow, they're in the pharmacy at CVS, they are at Target, they are everywhere. They have thousands of employees. So I think my point is for the ladies that are listening is that when you get your aesthetic up to par and you kind of really are in a groove and you know what you're doing, five people in an office and you can have a product where you're branding on a target level, okay? Because that is what is
Yes.
going on with you. And it blows my mind that I can count on one hand how many people are making this happen. So I think you have such an amazing team that really understands the vision. Can you talk about how you put this starting five together? We got Kobe, we got Shaq out here. Like, how did you find all of these players and create this dream team?
So I have a dream team and I have amazing people around me. I have Kate, I have Mary, I have Daniela, I have Cedar, I have Iris, I have Jed. An amazing team. And I've got a great team of advisors too. What I will say is that I think anybody on the call can do what we're doing.
Mhm.
I've been a CTO a couple of times. I've run some really big projects. One of the things that has changed radically in trying to do a startup over the last couple of years is that the tools available to you to do things in a way that require uh, little additional engineering effort are incredible. And I think that a lot of people think that to do a startup, they have to do all the things on their own. And there is no shame in the game of purchasing services. Canva, for example,
Love
my
Canva.
design person and I go to the mat on this, but Canva, you put in your brand book, you put in your brand colors, you put in your brand guidelines, you spend a day doing that up front, and then everything that you turn out after that is going to be consistent with your brand, your Instagram posts, your website, your app. It's a beautiful tool. So I encourage people to look for either Canva or tools like Canva, right? You just build
Mhm.
it and ship it. I think that there are people who still say to me, well, you should hire all these engineers to build your e-commerce site. Shopify has thousands of engineers. They're delivering services and a back end that are superior to anything I'll be able to afford to build, at least for the next 5 years. So I'm going to build on top of Shopify. So we've been really thoughtful about the tools that we select. We use Klaviyo for our newsletters. We've experienced with some other tools. So we've picked a set of tools that we can operate, and we've chosen to spend our time on doing the things that really differentiate us. The contact we have with our users, the quality of our customer service, sending out the birth control cases. And so I think that the barrier to entry for startups has gone way down. And I still see people saying, well, I have to be able to code and I have to do it all myself to be real. And you're real if you've got something you've built and you're selling it. Like that is real. And I can point to any number of VC funded teams that have poured a lot of money into a lot of engineers and a lot of stuff, and they never got traction with their product. So as long as you've built something and it's connecting to your users and you're selling your stuff, you're real. That makes you real.
I love that because I am like the Canva superstar over here. I literally, all 153 pages of those magazines are created by moi on Canva,
Wow.
darling. That is
Seriously?
not Photoshop. That is Canva.
Oh my gosh. I had no idea. I was sure you had
Canva.
team and an editorial team?
I
Really?
am the editorial team. I'm you minus four. So I'm just learning from you
Wow.
right now. I built my own website on Squarespace. I've
Wow.
done these things. So like when you're saying you're using Shopify, I'm like, I've done that. I was on Kajabi. So like before this, it's
Mhm.
like a lot of stuff. And I do think a lot of people feel like I have to do it myself, right? But I think what
Right.
I caught or some people don't have the finances, right, to kind of like delegate, or maybe they're thinking, oh, this website is going to cost $5,000 for
Mhm.
someone else to build. And it may not necessarily be that. Like I said, like, a lot of these websites have templates that you can work with, right? So you're not spending $5,000 on a website up front. I think their overall cost, or I have to touch this, I have to do this, when I hear people do that, especially when they have a job, one of the things I say is you have to know the advantage of a 9 to 5 entrepreneur. You have
Mhm.
money to fail and not like get evicted, right? And you
Exactly.
can like not buy that Chanel perfume and like go get somebody to go do your stuff for Canva or go on Fiverr, right? So you have options because you have money rolling in. So I kind of heard that. And I want anyone listening to like really, really, really hear what you're saying right now about the appearance of things and how you can make things bigger by
Mhm.
delegating and working with other people. You have to be the janitor, the CEO, the copyright. Like you don't have to be
Right.
everyone. Let it go and let it flow, right?
Yes. You said something so incredibly important, and I try and tell people this all the time. You pointed out that you can there's all sorts of pressure on how you're supposed to do a startup, right?
Mhm.
You're supposed If you're really dedicated, you'll quit your job and you'll give up your income and you'll be squarely focused on it and just that. There's all sorts of dogma around what it really takes, air quote, really takes to do a startup. And we all have to remember that this is for, like, my kids are very fortunate. This is for people who have gotten out of school with, no loans to worry about, and they have a place to live and they've got resources to fall back. I didn't have that coming out of college, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
And all that dogma applies to a very specific set of people, many of whom are going to fail to get their startups off the ground. But you give me a scrappy person who keeps their 9 to 5 job and spends months really understanding their users and their customers and what they want, and then slowly building that over time on the tools they have available to them, and keeping their day job so that they don't have to panic about bills and they are able to make good decisions and they're able to make good long term decisions. And that person's going to win much more frequently than the person who follows the dogma.
Absolutely. I've seen it every time. And I'm like, the person who has the job is the person that's going to be able to fund their project to the end. Everyone else is taking a uncalculated risk without any, you don't know if you're going to get a return on investment right now, right? And you don't know how much capital you have to pump into this thing moving forward. But we failed, we beta tested, we tried again, and I have another check coming in 2 weeks. So we're going to try a different route. That is how the company continues to survive as it's going through the ups and downs of figuring out its identity. I am just loving this conversation.
Yeah. By the
um,
way, is that how you did it? Because if that's how you did it, that is a great thing to share with people. I had no idea that you were a one person team. I'm my mind is blown by that. I think your work and your output and the quality of it and the consistency is incredible. So did you get started too working your 9 to 5 job?
so no, I quit my 9 to 5 a while ago, right? So I have been in the metaverse, being a business coach for the last 5 years. And I
Okay.
work at the startup level, right? My marketing is cultural marketing. I have a niche for working with African American, well, right? I understand how Black people market, girl. I know how we gonna talk, how we gonna sound, right? So, like, I specialize in understanding, like, Black people and how they respond to marketing. So, what I did with my clients was we got them on a 6 month deal. They come in, it was called the C level, as in CEO, the C level
Mhm.
program. So what I do is I walk you, see, everyone started different, so I walk you through what you were, where you were, and just kind of like niched and found your brand identity. And so I kind of was doing that for 5 years. 100% of my clients scaled. Every single person that worked with me generated money. If they started with me and they made
Amazing.
zero money, they made thousands of dollars by the time they left. If they were making $10,000 a month, they were making $50,000 a month by the time they left. So that's kind of like where I started. And so I was working with all of these companies that I thought were really amazing. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, we have Essence Magazine, right? That's the lifestyle
Mhm.
brand. We got Jet. I don't know. That's the Jet Model of the Week. We got Pop Sugar. We got all this stuff, but like, what's really going on? There was like no microscope on women in business, particularly Black women in business. And so I
That-
launched this company during the pandemic because Goldman Sachs jumped up and said, "Hey, yo, Black women can close this wealth gap in America because 3.3 million of them just opened a business." So they pledged $100 million to us. Chase got involved, and that was kind of like I was already over there working with these people. I already knew the numbers, I knew the facts, I knew the challenges. And so when I saw Goldman and Sachs and Chase like really bring attention to it, I said, you know what? It is time. It's time for us to pivot. And I told everyone, I love ya, but this is what I'm going to do over here, right? So the advantage that I have is a married woman. So it's kind of like a twofold, right? If you are a single woman or a
Mhm.
woman working, right, you want to use your income from your job. I'm a married woman and he worked two jobs. So you see what I'm doing now? I'm using
Yeah.
that's my backup. I can afford to fail because I'm not necessarily paying the bills in my house right now. And so if you have a partner that's willing to work with you, that believes in your dreams, then you should stop focusing on the thing. If they say, I got it, honey, let them take care of that mortgage and you get on the computer. So that's what I'm doing. Um,
Mhm.
and not really, we haven't produced a lot of money. I haven't even been trying to make money, honestly. It was just like this pivot. And it was like, hey, this is an idea. This is an idea. And it just went kaboom, right? So now I'm back here like, okay, I don't plan on selling magazines to make money. I don't want to, everything is free. Our information is free.
Wow.
Everything that I offer is free, right? Unless you want something in print, you can pay for it in print, but the magazines are in free. I want to give you the information for free. So, in my mind, how to raise capital, or the way that I'm going to approach it, is what systems can I create, right, for women in business that the government or other companies will help fund me with this, right? So my initial way of our company expanding financially is through grants and scholarships. And then we go out there and we give away this information to our community for free. So that is where I am right now with Bacon Magazine. In the beginning, I did have a few interns helping me with writing. And then, you meet a lot of friends along the way. I meet a lot of publicists and business managers that like what I'm doing. And so they get involved and they contribute content. So no, I'm not the only one writing everything, but my implementation is everywhere. It
Yeah.
is me answering the email. It is me updating the website. It was me on social media, but I just hired a girl with the same name as me. So after the 22nd, it's not gonna be me no more. I got to go. I gotta go get this money. We gotta go apply for these grants. So that's where I'm at with Bacon. It's really, really exciting. Issa Rae has reached out. The founder and CEO of Essence has reached out. And so that's where we are. I'm trying to figure out,
Wow.
well, I know who we are, but it's like tomorrow Beyonce could reach out. I'm manifesting that. Tomorrow Beyonce can reach out. I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do if Beyonce reaches out next week. So that's kind of like my dilemma. I know what we have, but it's happening so big and so fast. I'm not sure how to spin this.
Right. Right. And that is your job right now, right? That is the
Hmm.
thing to figure out what to do next. I love the example of Essence. A lot of people forget that where Essence has really made its money over the last 10 years or so is in the
Festival.
music festivals, right? And in the
Yep.
associate, it's not the content, it's not the brand itself. And I think that when you realize that your job as a founder and a CEO is figuring out what your user base wants and your subscribers and giving it to them, and then thinking about the long term, I think it really frees you up from the pressure that you're an imposter if you don't know how to code or if you don't know how to do your own QuickBooks or all the things. And I think that's an amazing thing to be able to offer to people as an example.
I love how you brought up imposter syndrome. Have you struggled with that before with this company?
Not so much with this company, but
Mhm.
I've been working now for 30 years. I know what I can do. I know what I can't do. And And it's not something that, certainly at the moment, it's not something that dogs me. I think that it's something that I'm constantly thinking about for the folks on my team. And we're asking a lot of each other and making sure that people feel really well supported, and that we say that out loud, because a lot of times when people are feeling imposter syndrome, they don't want to say it, and so you don't think to give them the accolades like, oh my gosh, that design was beautiful that you did yesterday. And so lifting the people up around me becomes really important, because we all have suffered imposter syndrome at different points in our career, and helping the people around you over that is important, to make sure we're all bringing our best selves to the game, right?
Right. So we're 5 minutes
Can't believe
into the
it.
close of our fireside chat. So I wanted to just ask a question for you to really just kind of like pour, because you are just amazing to me. I just want to give you your flowers while we're face to
Same.
face. You are literally a force, a whole force. And I am just like so interested in anything and everything. And I'm like, oh, Amazon and this. And it's like, I could just pick your brain for hours. So I know that someone like you with so much expertise, who we respect so greatly, we want to know, like, what advice do you have for the entrepreneurs that are watching right now in the startup phase? It just because, like you said, everyone's journey is different. But just from a general place, right? I guess of like mindset, because I believe people struggle the most in business with this, right? It's
Yeah.
either a closed mindset, an open mindset. I can or I can't. I believe I can do anything. That's why you didn't know it was one person doing it, right? So,
Hmm.
what type of mindset tactic or intention would you implement or leave with the audience today to really get them fired up on like a Tony Robbins level? Like, like what do you have for them? Give me some Tony Robbins.
You can do this. So from whatever part you are at right now in your career, whatever point you're at, whatever resources you have, you can do this. Whatever stage you're at, there are people who have been at your stage and they have been successful. Andrea and I are both married. We're both far enough along in our career that we have resources. My first startup I did as a single mom with 2 kids. I had no resources, still pulled it off. The thing is to know what it is you're going after, to go after, to chip away at it slowly but surely. If you get tired, don't quit. Pause. Pause.
Mm,
Pause, gather some resources, and then continue chipping away at it again. And the people who are successful at building products and companies and businesses are the people who have stuck with it and just continue to chip away at it. It never gets easy. The challenges become different. And by chipping away at it when you're that single mom with 2 kids and no money, and you can't figure out how you're going to build this website, but you know that people are going to want to connect over this topic or buy this thing, you just chip away at it until you build it into the thing that it's going to be. Nike started because Phil Knight was selling sneakers out of the back of his car,
come
right? And
on.
right? I mean,
Right.
everybody has failed on their way to being successful. If you're in a low point, you can still do this. And if you're in a high point, you can totally do this. Go after it. Just be fearless. Just go after it.
Be fearless. We are so excited. I want to thank you so much for pulling over to the side of the road in your busy schedule with all the amazing things that you have going on to really just pour into the audience today. Like I said, it's been such a pleasure. I'm just so happy to have spoken to you today. I hope to connect with you on LinkedIn. And I really
Sure.
want to encourage everyone who's been listening to follow her on LinkedIn, to follow her Instagram page, to go and to subscribe to the newsletter, right? We already know that even if you're not trying to prevent having a baby, this is a product for you that works with your, come on now, girl, your skin, all the things we want. Let's get over there and get this Emmy Award. Let's go sign up and get this thing going so that she can continue to have her 10% increase every week. Because what I heard today was a CEO that's not trying to make money off the people. What I heard was a CEO that has integrity with their brand and is trying to protect your privacy, trying to protect your
Mhm.
thoughts and your intentions while improving your health, right? While Big Pharma is doing this and losing control, she doesn't, it's not about control. She wants you to have control. So that is very, very rare in large companies. So I think you all need to get over there and really grow with this company, because what I heard was amazing and it's Bacon Magazine approved. Okay.
Thank you so much. Ms.
You're
Harris
so
Walker,
welcome.
I so admire you, and I am so appreciative. I'm so appreciative that I got to do this fireside chat with you. You're amazing.
Likewise.
I'm
Thank you
really,
so
thank you
much.
so much.
Oh my God. Thank you both so much. You guys are both amazing. Thank you for this conversation. We're going to record this and send it out. Amazing day. Thank you for everyone for being here and the energy. We will be on Slack and all the teams are meeting and working, and we're creating so many future ideas and projects, just like we talked about today. So thank you for the inspiration. Thank you for your time and your talent. Big shout outs and love to both of you. Thank you all.
Bye, everyone. Good luck in the hackathon. Look forward to the judging.
Yes.